Hey y'all, my name is Maria March. Welcome to my channel. This is actually my first video on YouTube. I wanted to come on here and do a reading roundup for June of 25. I've been posting sort of my reading, what I'm reading when I finish it, and a review on my Instagram, which you should go follow. I should put it right here. I would really enjoy it if you were over there with me. But I have been posting really short reviews, short and quick, dirty, and I wanted to come on here and do some longer reviews, talk through everything, how it's going, what I rated, why I rated it that way. So let's get into it. Now, in the month of June, I read 6 books, and I have 3 of them physically. I had originally 5 physically, and 1 was an audiobook, but 2 of them I actually sent to 2 different friends because they were like, oh, I'd really love to read that. And I was like, send it on. I need to make space on my shelf anyway. So let's start. The first book I started in May, finished in early June, was The Singing Fire by Lilian Nattel. I hope I said that right. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's really good. The prose is really, really good sometimes. Very lyrical. It goes into kind of a mysticism, lyrical verse at times, and it was, I gave it 3.5, so it was kind of average. I did learn a lot because, getting ahead of myself, it's set in late 1800s London and focuses on 2 Jewish women who immigrate to London, one from Poland and the other from Russia. And the book goes through their relationship to each other, their different struggles that they're going through. Hey, buddy. And the challenges they face. This might be a spoiler, very small spoiler. There's a child involved. One of the girls arrives to London pregnant, and kind of everything that they have to go through and what transpires from there. It was good. I would recommend it if you're interested in historical fiction. Historical fiction is not always my favorite, so I think that's one of the reasons why I just said 3.5 on here. You having fun, buddy? So, yeah, give it a try if you're interested. The second book I read, which I do not have a physical copy of, it's one that I sent to one of my friends. Jasper, please don't play with that. It is one that I sent to one of my friends. It's Bone Crack. I'll try to put a little picture here, I guess. Bone Crack by Dick Francis. I love Dick Francis books. I rated this one 4 out of 5. He was a retired racehorse jockey, which, if you don't know, that was my dream position. My dream job was to be a racehorse jockey. At 5'10", I always joke that I got too tall. I really enjoy his books. There is a lot of, focused on horses, focused on horse racing, or just horses in general. And so I always enjoy them, and most of the time they're detective mystery books, and he does a really good job of writing a really lean but very good, very well thought out mystery. Bone Crack focuses on a man who comes back. His estranged father owns a racing stable, and manages racehorses. And his father is in a car crash, and so he has to manage his father's stable while his father is recovering. Jasper, come here, buddy. He has to manage the stable while his father is recovering, and while his father is in recovery, a mob boss come. Jasper, dude, get lost, please. I love you. A mob boss kidnaps him and tells him that his son, the mob boss's son, is going to ride a racehorse. And all of the things that transpire about this young kid who wants to be a jockey so bad. His father is a mobster. Lots of issues of fatherhood. Lots of issues on kind of a coming of age for the very young jockey. Kind of figuring out who you are as a person and what you want to stand for. So there's one I sent off to my friend. She really enjoys little mysteries, and I was like, go for it. I think you would really like this. So that was the second one, Bone Crack. The third book, which was on my physical, all of these except for Atmosphere were on my physical TBR list, so I have those books here with me. Third one was The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. I'll stick another picture. I gave it 4.0. I definitely think, I understand why it's required reading in a lot of places. I definitely think that I think everyone should read this book at least once. It is not a book I will reread because there are parts where it goes from 0 to 100 very quickly. If you don't know, The Things They Carried is kind of Tim O'Brien's memoir, true stories about the time he served in the Vietnam War. Now, it was personally a little hard to read because my grandfather was in the Vietnam War. He's never spoken to me about it, but I know that it was very hard for him. And so reading some of these stories was hard. And like I said, there are parts where I would never want to read again, but it does show you kind of the horrors of war. And how do we reconcile these things with, how do we reconcile what we do in war with the outcome of a war, the spoils of a war? And yeah, so everyone should read it. I'm never going to read it again, but it was good. 4 out of 5. The fourth book I read, I have here physically with me, and it is Vulcan by Kathleen Sky. And y'all don't know this, but I am a huge science fiction fan. I have read many Star Trek novels like this. I've got a bunch sitting over there in my physical TBR that I will be reading. Star Trek novels, okay, hold on. This one is basically, they're going on a mission to go to this little planet that's right on the edge of the neutral zone, and because of magnetic forces, it's being pulled into Romulan space, right? Now, they bring along this, they have to figure out if the life forms that are, if the life forms that are on this planet are intelligent, meaning like human intelligence. And so they have to go to this planet. They bring a brilliant biologist who apparently hates Vulcans, and that's why it's called Vulcan. And she is she's such a cow. to Spock, and I do not like her. But she's also, it's written in 1978. What'd I give this? I give this 3 out of 5. Star Trek novels either go one of two ways. Either, I mean, they're all, I consider them all like fan fiction, published fan fiction. Now, Star Trek novels can go one or two ways, I think. They can either be amazing, wonderful. I said Star Trek novels can go one or two ways. They can either be amazing, so good, some of the best characterizations ever, or, like this book had, it can just be okay. Like, as I was reading it, I was like, this is just okay fan fiction. And because it's 1978, even though Star Trek was really ahead of its time in portraying its characters, you know, and what they did on the show, the characters here are very flat, and I don't know if I'd recommend it if you're a Star Trek nerd. I don't know if I would recommend this. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you would enjoy it. I wouldn't personally recommend it, just because the way it also writes women very poorly. So, take what you will from that. The 5th book I read, guys, talking about women being written. So, this book was for my monthly book club, which we are meeting on July 1st. I'm recording this on June 29th? Sunday, June 29th. I loved this book so much. It's Atmosphere by Taylor and the same lady who wrote The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Atmosphere. Okay. Early 1980s, Space Center, rockets, astronauts, lesbian astronauts. It was so good, guys. My only critique, very, very small parts where she's very much trying to drive home like a philosophical point, and it just seems to drag for a little long. Just seems to drag a little long. Not necessarily bad. Like I said, I gave this 5 out of 5. The absolute yearning and the absolute... So, the two characters, one of them is like raging lesbian. You can tell very quickly. The other one doesn't even realize that she's a lesbian. And there's a point in the book where she just kind of like stops and looks around and she's like, oh, wait. Amazing. I loved it so much. Enough science talk, enough technical talk to keep me interested in that bits, in the science, in the space astronaut bits. So good. The ending was hard, I won't lie. The ending was hard simply because I was like, ah! But highly recommend, especially if you like astronauts and you want to read more queer fiction. Go read Atmosphere. Let's see. Our last book is actually a personal favorite of mine. It was in my physical books, which I'm trying to read through all my physical books. I probably said this earlier. But it is Every Living Thing by James Herriot. This is probably the 3rd time that I have read this book. I grew up on a farm. I grew up in the country. And so anytime, and not only we grew up on the farm in the country, I was raised with horses, with cows, pigs, chickens, the whole 9 yards. And so every time I read one of his books, because this is like his 8th book, right? Because let's see, where is it? Yeah, so you can kind of see like the list of his books, which I had another one. My dishwasher, or my washing machine, is going through a spin cycle right now, so I apologize if you can hear that. But James Herriot, every time I read one of these books, I get so nostalgic, and the way that he talks about animals, you can tell that he loves animals. He loves people who love animals. He loves caring for animals. The relationships that he describes between people and their pets, people and their livestock, is so touching, and it just gets me every single time. And so like I'll be sitting here and I'll just start crying. Like I would be reading something and I would just start crying because I know exactly what he's trying to describe. I know exactly what he's talking about. And so I always recommend James Herriot because it goes, I haven't even told you what it's about. He is a vet in rural Yorkshire. Now this is in the 1950s, I believe. But he started with All Creatures Great and Small, and those are the very beginning of his veterinary career in rural Yorkshire. And he talks about how he just got out of veterinary school and now he goes to rural Yorkshire, where some of these people, one, can't really afford the vet, and two, they don't believe the vet, and he wins them over the course of his career. And so by the time you get to Every Living Thing, he's well established in his area, in his practice. So the farmers all kind of believe him, but then, he goes through the whole host of characters and people that he's worked with over the years, from the assistants to the farmers, his partner. He talks about his wife and his bringing up his children. I guess it's kind of memoir-y, but I don't know. I highly suggest James Herriot. If you love animals, eventually I guess this will be historical fiction, I don't know. If you love animals, please read this, because it's so touching, and I just love it. So, I gave it 5 out of 5. I don't know if I said that. Those were the 6 books that I read in June of 25. I've already started on some books that I will finish in July. I've got 4 books going right now, so hopefully I'll just start knocking them off. And eventually my book club will get together and we'll pick a book for July as well. So we'll go from there. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. And if you want to jump over to my Instagram, I try to post there daily. I talk about different things. And yeah. Bye guys.